Recently, I've been pretty busy practicing with my Olympic recurve, but I've volunteered to take some time to look at school equipment and to get it back in reasonable condition so they can see more usage. Suffice to say, it's quite different from what I normally use. When I say these are old school bows, I do mean it in both ways. This is old equipment belonging to the school, and the bows come from an era before me. Some of you may recognize these models, and they're certainly not bad bows. However, they are outdated compared to what is available in the market today. It's actually very hard to find these bows for sale these days. These were probably popular around 20 or 30 years ago. A lot of them are handed down, they've been kept around by schools and camps. I know these bows have been kept in storage for around 15 years and have only been taken and used very sporadically. These were popular for schools and camps and the occasional curious individual because they were so cheap. These are the older equivalent to the beginner kits you can find online and come in at around $50. A typical kit will include the bow, a bowstring, a couple of arrows, along with a finger tab, arm guard, a target, and maybe a quiver. These are one-piece fiberglass recurve bows, although similar models do straddle the line between being considered recurves or longbows. Most junior fiberglass bows today are less than £20, although the bows I have here are £30 and £25. This Indian bow in particular is sometimes seen used by adult backyard shooters, so I wouldn't quite call it a kid's bow. As you can probably tell, it's incredibly simple in design. Unstrung, it's basically a stick. The limbs are solid fiberglass and the grip is made from a plastic rubber material. One of the reasons this kind of bow is popular for schools and camps is that it's ambidextrous. There's no window cut out of the riser, so the arrow goes on either side on top of the grip, so it can be shot right or left-handed. The arrows are made from the same material and are spined for £30, the weight of this bow. I can't say they fly tremendously well, but they do the job. I find they're too stiff, and arrow clearance is a big problem. Additionally, the finish and quality of the arrow is very poor. Don't be surprised if the point comes off. Now, I personally consider the baseline for archery equipment to be the sort of equipment you find in a club. Clubs are more likely to use wooden takedown recurves, such as the PAC Razorback or Diffuse Focus, or even the Matthews Genesis compound bow. You won't really find this sort of bow at a club, and it's not that they're bad, but they're very limited in their function. They're really only meant to be used by the occasional casual shooter, which is why you find them in school sometimes. If you're looking at getting equipment for your school, for your camp, this sort of thing is extremely cheap. It's a good budget buy, and it's just passable. You won't leave a great impression of archery on the person who uses it. Now, if you have equipment lying around or you're about to use it, there are a few things to watch out for. One thing to keep in mind is draw weight. Now, for the layman, the draw weight is how heavy the bow is when you pull it back. Not how heavy the bow itself is, but the strength of the bow on the fingers as you pull back. If you don't know anything about archery, numbers won't make any sense. But one thing you have to keep in mind is when you pick your bow, your draw weight has to be reasonable for the people who are using it. If you're running archery at a camp or a school, and you're looking at people who are 12, 15 years old, then you don't really want to give them a bow that's too heavy. A good benchmark for a junior bow is around 12 to 15 pounds. While this may seem like a very lightweight, and while a lot of teenagers will use heavier bows, remember you're catering for the least capable. You're not giving bows out which are overpowered. These bows, for example, are 30-pound bows, and even the 25-pound bow is a little much for kids. And yeah, you might have the big, bulky, muscular kid who plays football, and he can pull a bow back and go, yeah, this is so easy. But you get a lot of Little Year 7 girls who can barely pull it back or part of the way. So it's a very big issue. A lot of it is to do with confidence. And if you're not taught to shoot properly and you're giving a bow that's too strong for you, it's not going to be as fun. Just remember too that a lot of adults can't pull a 30-pound right away, so be reasonable. Also keep in mind the condition of the bow. Equipment tends to be left in poor storage, or there's wear and tear, and sometimes you might see some ad hoc repairs without much of an idea as to what they're doing. Often, archery equipment is left in an unsafe or unsuitable state, and it's often due to the lack of expertise to maintain and repair them. The string normally takes the most damage. The serving can unravel and eventually come off completely, and the string itself can break. Because schools and camps usually lack archery expertise, they are unable to replace the string, and the bows are left unstrung and unused. In an effort to encourage more use of the archery equipment, I've replaced most of the strings with Dacron strings I made myself, with better serving material and a bit of wax. The result is something that is better than what the bows originally came with. I've noticed that some junior bow kits come with this kind of string. It's a very stiff material that doesn't stretch. As a result, the bow feels much stiffer when drawing. The lack of serving material and knock points means that the arrow won't stay on, implying that you're meant to pinch the knock, which is a big no-no in archery. If the arrow doesn't stay on the string, I don't consider it safe to shoot. Furthermore, it's also quite painful on the fingers. Speaking of fingers, many places lack protective equipment. I'm talking about arm guards and finger tabs. These are basic safety items and they're often overlooked. I personally would not want a child to shoot without these items. It is painful, it's not really dangerous, but it can hurt, and you don't want children hurting themselves. It can be a hassle to have a set of finger tabs and you have to hand out to everybody, so I understand why places often don't give them out, but it is important to have some kind of protection. An alternative to finger tabs are rubber finger guards, such as the no glove, which are put onto the string and stay there. This is ideal for clubs and schools who go through many shooters, allowing participants to pick up the bow and use it safely without having to lose or damage finger tabs. If you find yourself in need of archery repairs and you don't have access to an archery expert, the best option is to seek help from an archery store. Now, there are two things which can really go wrong with school equipment. Either the bow itself is damaged or the string is damaged. Now, if the bow is damaged, I'm talking about like a cracked limb or the thing is snapped, that's gone. There's nothing you really do about it, especially with these older bows. But if the string is damaged, you can replace it fairly easily. You can order a new string to be made at the archery store, and all they need to know is how long the string should be. By the way, most likely if you're using these kind of bows, you want a Dacron string. A lot of these strings which I pointed before are some kind of natural fiber, but most stores only make Dacron as a minimum. You don't want to get things like Fast Flight or Trophy or any fast strings. Dacron is fine. You want to state the length of the bow string. Now, most of these bows have the length of the bow indicated somewhere on the inside. It's either printed or written on, or it's on a sticker. In this case, there's a sticker here, and it says 60-inch AMO. When you buy the string, you want to quote that figure. So you ask, I want a 60-inch AMO Dacron string, and they'll make one exactly to match this bow. The AMO is important because it's actually, the string itself is not 60 inches, it's shorter. But if you say 60-inch AMO, the shop will know to make the appropriate string. If you don't have these stickers, what you need to do is to measure the bowstring from tip to tip, and then use that figure. It's measured in inches, not centimeters. And if you are measuring the string itself, make sure you quote the figure without AMO. So say it's the actual string length, not say 55 AMO. In fact, do try to get most of your materials from archery stores. It may be cheaper and easier to get it from a school supplier or from Amazon or eBay, but if you get it from an archery store, they'll pick the right equipment for you, they'll give you ongoing support, and they have the expertise to help you. So it's better than having perfectly good bows lying around because a bit of string's broken. Finally, one thing that is often overlooked in setting up an archery activity for young people is having the right training. More often than not, sites will just hand out bows like toys, tell the supervisor to point the bows somewhere in that direction of a big target, and let kids pop balloons. While this is fun, in my opinion, the participants get a lot more out of the activity if they are properly taught how to hold and shoot a bow. It's the same with any sport. I mean, once you've learnt the skills, playing the sport becomes a whole lot more fun. And the same goes with archery. That means as teachers or as camp coordinators or whatever, you may want to undertake basic archery instructor training. And there are courses which will teach you how to use a bow, as well as how to implement safety practice and how to look after your equipment. Anyway, this is NUSensei. Hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next time.